Hobby of Cosmology Time is Force, scaled-down version. The cosmology references to the entire expanse that surrounds the human beings, such as the universe and the world. Ron, it is that such research, the cosmology, mythology, religion, philosophy, theology, science, astronomy, and space physics are involved. This cosmology is what you thought about the structural principles of the universe can be integrated into dynamic coordinate space theory, the quantum mechanics, and space geometry. Speed of light from the expansion of space, gravity, mass, time has occurred. Gravity, other three forces, electromagnetic force, strong force, weak force within the nucleus of the nucleus. There will be mystery of physics say that even 43 orders of magnitude smaller than five-dimensional cosmological physicist Lisa Randall is assuming another dimension to the four-dimensional world in which we can feel. Gravity was intended to resolve the 43 orders of magnitude less problems than other forces. In a further superstring theory is the layers of the 11-dimensional. Actually, it is this gravity and time not be explained by current physics. Time was considered a system that worked like a wave rather than our concept move the particles. Gravity and time of the image. When we take pictures with the camera, fast ones set the fast shutter speed of movement, still subject to represent time as a blur. Therein, even if a still image is the flow of time has been recorded, it is without the thickness of the time. I cannot confirm events. If we had stopped time, imagine the landscape that all movement has stopped. However, the movement of time, if there is no energy atom, will disappear, will stop, and the space itself, that light is a light also, will not be able to also be material to maintain its form. When scientists think about the gravity and matter of time, we would like explained in one theory from the macro image of the universe until the elementary particles, the microscopic world. However, it does not necessarily also those that constitute these time and gravity are the ones having a magnitude. First of all, that I wondered. Light emitted from the light source. Do not you think suddenly and is unnatural get used to the speed of light, a system that carries the photon in space. It will think possible if built. If the space is expanding, gravity and time reduction in density is going on. Reduction of the time energy is balanced by the reduction of the time operating speed. It will say the natural world prefers symmetry. Anti-gravity against hence gravity, anti-matter, anti-universe have been imagined for the universe to substance. What you think is a heterogeneity of gravity and time was thought to have created a spread of space-time, while cooperation, working styles of the time energy is like a conveyor belt to carry the particles that are moving at the speed of light. If analogy, photons was riding on top of the belt conveyor will be the speed of light in the moment rather than the accelerated movement. Time is working like a wave. It is assumed to be a system that moves the particles. Light and particles is considered in advance the space riding the wave of this time, because all of the particles is affected by the time. Stop and have light and particles do not exist. Energy time creates a separation between the particles, and is a force to support the existence of a substance. I try to imagine the shape of the universe. In the current space physics, it is the universe began from the Big Bang. Earlier stater will in no sense even imagine because it is before that can this world. The Big Bang is not the beginning of the universe. We have there is a space that cannot be observed, or would not be a routine thing. The Big Bang that happened in this space. One of the ripples of concentric circles that can be when you throw a pebble in the water surface, and assumed to be our universe. Although the waves appear to be moving, I'm moving water only vibrate up and down to know. This is what's going on in the universe. In other words, the universe will expand because of the wave energy will continue to spread around. Will the space is filled with a material that is invisible to constitute the universe? Since the density of the universe is not so much high, and no wonder be filled with unknown material, it is likely to be an unknown space surrounding the universe. Since the ripples will expand while maintaining the initial energy, density of energy will be smaller. Since this universe will continue to spread like a wave in the spread of space with no center, it has a condition as the expanding universe model. Space range that we can be observed. Although the current real universe is the space-related property that is independent of that has already been lost with the Big Bang, it looks to us as the light of information coming along the water droplets form on the surface, continuous time surface. This is from the past to the present has been observed as shown in the photograph that has been multiple exposure. It causes a logical contradiction if you do not assume the Big Bang previous space and the Big Bang cosmology. In addition, the energy of the initial explosion defines that inflated the universe until today, but it has been confirmed to have occurred further accelerated expansion in recent years of observation. Then, the mechanism that creates this accelerated expansion is currently unknown. Creation of the universe view. Universe spread like waves. This universe view but is drawn as a two-dimensional model, as a four-dimensional expanding universe model of the three-dimensional plus time, and if you look as a rotating body of the vertical axis, or it viewed as expanding universe model of donut shaped like pipe smoke, it will be. This is the image that something that is flying around in the container of the universe has become the Big Bang to collide. It has become a model that can explain easier to understand the inflation of the Big Bang that began from a small point. Description of the drawings. With those bird's eye view of the entire universe from the outside, it shows the light of the root to reach the expansion and the Earth of 13.8 billion years. Light will come to Earth along the water droplets form on the surface, continuous time surface. The interior of the water droplet shape will be a root that was part of the past of light. Expansion of our universe began with a Big Bang, and the universe has been expressed as a figure from the S1 S7, as the interval of the concentric circles of 20 billion years. The current universe will be because it is 7, first 14 billion years. Light headed from the point P2 to the Earth of S4 of age can be observed in the current Earth after 60 billion years. And it cannot be observed currently the light towards the Earth if you are passing through the Earth to the previous several billion years from the point P1 of S3 of age. P2 points cannot be observed light of later this era, so opposite to the results of the expansion point P3. P2. P4 is actually there as the spectacle of the universe that can be currently observed expansion of the result P2, P4, and is present in the real space of. Since P2 along with the expansion will change the position in P3, galaxy called P2 that are currently visible will disappear from view, so Naruto out galaxy will continue out of our space-time. In other words, in a region close to the Earth radius direction of expansion of the expansion and the ring direction from does not change the appearance because there is no big vector difference. Distant galaxies as P2 and P4 the expansion of the universe advances sight we wonder whether fade away, even going on in such a change as the universe. It will be considered to be not be confirmed in our time scale. We universe that can be observed a portion of the space-time. For example, please imagine a record board. Record has been filled with one of the grooves. Therefore all if we follow the groove is visible, but because the number of grooves in the universe exists in infinite space-time and then there are an infinite number. In other words, space-time exists only the number of observer. Since the space that we have observed is present in the continuous time surface leading to the current from the Big Bang, the maximum size will be age 13.8 billion light-years of space. Light can our observations is enlarged about old age, as the image information multiple exposure of all of the times are observed at the same viewing angle. The universe that does not require a container. You do not need a container to hold the existence of space. What good I do? system in which the free movement in the gravitational field does not feel the force of gravity, probably state that freely behaved an energy field of space expansion, is, I think, then have created a universe that does not require a container. In the universe that do not require the vessel, the space created by the 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang is our universe. Spatial information as the container of the universe that existed in the Big Bang previously, I think by observation because does not reach to us, that it would not be able to prove its existence. We are the extent to which you are able to observe is called the space, but in real space it is not possible to observe that exists to ensure it is considered a container of the universe exists surrounding this. What time? What make the system that carries the light? Since space has expanded in the speed of light, the photons that have no mass, separated from the material, due to the influence of the expansion space directly, when viewed from the observer appears to be diffused at the speed of light. The stars and galaxies, desk and chair because it is tied with each other in gravity, it is against the Big Bang expansion of the coordinate system in a state in which it became the lump. Why is photon placed in space as dragged by the expansion of space? The vacuum of energetics, it is the force that has accelerated to inflate the universe defy gravity. In a world where a vacuum is born as a virtual particle seen in the Planck's eyes have pair-annihilation, for this pair-annihilation is constantly repeated, energy fluctuates not take a constant value. This fluctuation in the source of vacuum energy, and the universe is reduced, the density of the expanded material gravity is reduced. However, the universe does not change the strength of the energy of the vacuum, for the vacuum is increased by the amount of inflated. In addition, the vacuum energy is negative energy in order to have the effect of aligning rejected. The space defy gravity is also said to be repulsive. Nothing had been thought that no space. In fact, this space is filled with vacuum energy photons like the particles suspended in the solution, is observed as a result the speed of light to be dragged into the expansion space. From a state that is expanded it is considered a natural state along the law of inertia, since the photon without mass to the same motion as the expansion of the space. The speed of light when viewed from us that remains in this space, it is observed. Hubble Ultra Deep Field Exploration Area is a region of about 1 degree of fornix. Using the faint object camera and infrared cameras, it was taken from 2003 to 2004. The resulting image, redshift C equals 3 galaxy, showed approximately 11.7 billion light-years, or are also projected 10,000 or more. And in the Z equals 6 to 7, approximately 12,890,000,000 light galaxy from the year about 13.06 billion light-years was also reflected. This photo was taken the outer space in the angle of view about 1 degree from the portion without the star of the galaxy. The universe does not have the origin direction of the Big Bang. You are considered to be any direction become the same kind of Big Bang image even to shoot. It is strange because the small universe of the Big Bang initial is, it at a density of about this has been enlarged and projected. 3 of the coordinate axes of the Big Bang universe, it is seems to converge to a single. This is the coordinate axis of the 3-dimensional space can be seen as extending toward the Big Bang. This is what I will be considered a coordinate axis that connects the Big Bang from the coordinate origin as in the time axis of the 4 eyes. Therefore, since the coordinate system itself is expanded spreading the Big Bang, it is considered to have become the current universe. Acceleration of the space where the expansion is observed as gravity. Expansion of the space I believe to be inflated after passing through even the atomic lattice of the material, but by the material density, for expansion speed is different. Acceleration, bending of space, has occurred in the expansion of space. This acceleration is, I will be considered to be observed as gravity. The concept of bending of space is what has been introduced Einstein to expansion cosmology earlier. Speed of light is slower than the vacuum in the material. The phenomenon of refraction occurs. It is because the speed of light is different depending on the medium. The absolute refractive index of a material is defined by the speed of light divided by the speed of light in that material in vacuum. For example, the speed of light refractive index of water is 1.33 at the visible light region wavelength, since the speed of light in vacuum is 300,000 km per second and water is 226,000 km per second. It is a speed change is hard to see at a discontinuity that the speed of light in water, 226,000 km per second, immediately becomes the speed of light in the air, 300,000 km per second. This will it be considered a change in velocity of expansion is happening in the area of the atomic level. Gravity generated in the individual atoms is observed as the gravity of the sum has been object. Distortion of the space of distortion 1 plus distortion 2 plus distortion 3 equals substance field, and when you think to draw, you will like this description. Distortion of the space 1 atoms is produced is what is considered to be added to the outside of the field. Distortion is formed as actual gravity distribution. In this way, I think the place on the outside only the number of atoms is expanded. Figure has been charting the expansion from the center of the solid, the substance inside. I believe that inflation rate is at a maximum in late vacuum of space. For expansion rate of space that should not be discontinuous. Even if there is a break section to the expansion rate between the two, no wonder. I think the result is a curve shown in the drawing's bottom. The expansion rate of space is changing continuously. Acceleration is working. If you are working an acceleration to a solid inside the space around it, the direction of the gravitational acceleration is creating will be opposite to the direction of inflation. That is how will the acceleration of expansion is observed as gravity. Therefore, the strength of the gravitational field of the space I is thought the size of the expansion acceleration. If you think this way, I think that it can explain the cause of the speed of light, reason and gravity. As for even 43 orders of magnitude smaller problem than the gravity other forces, it is not the subject of comparison because the cause is probably quite different to have. According to the special theory of relativity, the light speed is constant for any inertial system. According to the general theory of relativity, gravity and acceleration are equivalent. Gravity distorts space and time. Gravity and distort the time along with the space. This is, I think, because you are thinking in the upper than the time, the force of gravity. Time is not a constant speed, and the speed of light also depends not even gravity. We do not know yet. I think there is a mechanism that creates a time, or time simply is it concepts forged in order to recognize the change of things. Black hole is not a description of the gravitational field of about not even escape the light. It will be considered to have come off from the space-time, which can be observed. Large temporal decline, light of the black hole, which came into the space-time, which can be observed. In other words, it will be considered that can be observed. I wrote a temporal decline. It is expansion velocity, speed of light. It is extremely slow, which is happening in reality in and around the black hole. Therefore, the temporal decline and the expansion rate is extremely slow will have the same meaning. Expansion velocity, speed of light, equals time operating speed c dividing t equals 1. It will be the actual inflation rate, the speed of light, are different in the space of material inside the vacuum, but the rate of expansion can be placed in any place. It becomes all when you try to measure the speed of light the same result. Up to this important description, speed of light are those photons got on expansion wave of space as visualized, have spots of material, and the expansion speed of the peripheral, that is a distortion of space. I thought this as gravity, and distortion total amount of space the substance make is mass. Moreover, time is the energy that is expanded space, thereby being produced impermanence world, the four-dimensional space-time. 1. Sight can be observed to us. It is like a historical chronology that has been written in a continuous time axis up to the observation point, Earth. The Big Bang as a starting point, are magnified as the old age have is that the past image information is projected 2. In the space, that is expanded by the speed of light, the photon, separated from the light source to receive the influence of the expansion directly, when viewed from the observer appears to be diffused at the speed of light. 3. The expansion of the space is continuous from the substance inside the space. However, in the substance inside a change in the inflation rate, which is observed as gravity to us in the acceleration of space. 4. It is assumed that by differentiating the bending spaces and gravity, those integration is considered to have a mass of material. 5. The flow of the space of expansion and time because the same thing, and it will be c divided by t equals 1. We are illusioned that it is the flow of time changes in the space and energy due to expansion, 6. Although it is said that four-dimensional space by adding time to the three-dimensional space, time and inflation from the same thing, axis of four-dimensional space x, y, z, d. A coordinate system represented by a diffusion I thought u. Speed of light, gravity, mass, can be explained by the expansion of the challenges or both space on the physics that says time. In other words, our world is not a static coordinate system, is a dynamic coordinate system. Coordinate system itself is expanding, diffusion. The smallest size, one-dimensional, as photons proceed in one direction to ride the wave of expansion, but the substance having a magnitude from substance inside this three-dimensional space. There is no concept of one way, therefore, material having a magnitude does not ride the wave of space expansion, strictly not a one-dimensional particles. It was considered to be small enough to ride the wave of expansion. In addition, since stars and galaxies has been tied to each other by gravity, rather than moved by the expansion of space, by the expansion energy of space, it will be considered to have won the gravity in mass and time. Einstein equation. Einstein is an equation describing field universal gravitation. The gravitational field that led in the general theory of relativity in 1916, the law of gravitation Newton led. It is the extended equation so that it can be applied to the strong gravitational field. Physical phenomenon is a high density, such as neutron stars and black holes, massive celestial bodies and the universe. Overall geometry of interest. It is like in school. Esoteric Einstein equation does not come in understanding even now, but very compatible with I felt good in that go proceed to write a cosmology time is force of hobby, given by replacing the speed of light to the expansion rate of space. I think that it is the same thing, since the era of Einstein do not believe that the universe is expanding. It was not considered the cause of the speed of light and gravity. Einstein was considered to be material and energy distort space. As a reason that can distortion in space, was considered a plaque of the space material density is causing the expansion rate of the plaque's acceleration, next gravity of space. Although expansion kinetic energy of the space in the initial Big Bang was the dominant potential energy you have with the expansion of space with respect to the initial state is now dominant, given the Newtonian, but the potential energy you feel so is to change the shrinkage kinetic energy, because the coordinate system itself has expanded. The potential energy will continue to relatively decrease. I think that it ultimately decreases asymptotically to make sense size 0 with respect to the size of the coordinate system. This equation is because it is before the expansion of the space is found. I think that it is the movement of the universe had been considered as determined by the linear equation as Newtonian mechanics. However, because the elements that are considered not to be a linear change of expansion of the universe has come in, the structure of the space will think whether ambiguous thing of nature that can be represented in the equation. Rather, there is a possibility to become probability theory of interactions that Einstein and God does not play dice was hated. Nuclear repulsive force. The electrons are not depressed. The nucleus forces of expansion space is a repulsive force there between. Better to think of the electrons are drifting to the balance the space of repulsive force, and the electromagnetic force and gravity problem is easy. Such in order to have the properties must be considered as the expansion space occurs around the nucleus. It will be just images that push the space's seep expansion energy from atomic nuclei. The number of electrons that can exist in the same orbit spherical because works repulsive force due to the charges in between electrons is limited. This result is considered to have followed by a number of electrons on the orbit with the atomic weight increases to form a plurality of layers having different orbital height. If in this manner greater the inflation pressure in the space to think it is possible to form a heavier element. It also considered a simple atomic structure and the expansion pressure is small can only form substance of the current universe is said to go eventually change to iron, Fe, and repeat the fission and nuclear fusion. It has become a function to determine the atomic weight of the expansion pressure substance. It is likely that iron can be the most stable in the current inflation conditions. I would like to think from the basic things. Newton is the kinetic energy, was made K equals 1/2 mv squared. Newton of the total energy, E equals U plus K. U is potential energy. Einstein the energy, was an E equals mc squared. Expression of the two EI are very similar, but C is a constant, speed of light, so energy is a substance mass. Also, the value of K in the Newton's energy equation, because the smaller can be ignored in real life. E equals U, U equals m. Clogging mass is potential energy. This mass is the potential energy that have of the universe origin, that is, I think the potential to have to bang a previous state. That substance mass and the total amount of energy that distort the space energy flow occurs in the direction in which the distortion of space is eliminated. There is no because you do not cause the energy potential increase of entropy if the distortion is not flat in space. For Einstein of energy, Einstein's E equals mc squared. E, energy, m, mass, weight, c, it represents the speed of light, and for energy of time is force of E equals md squared. E, energy, m, mass, distortion, total amount of space, d, expansion rate of diffusion of the space, and I represent. There is a difference in the mass of the concept comparing both. Since the substance mass in time is force is the distortion total amount of space, energy is the amount you have saved as a distortion of space. Now, I think that it is material mass can understand why the energy equivalent of energy and is a distortion of space. Energy flow occurs in the direction in which the distortion is eliminated. Motion state in the gravitational field. The left figure is the gravitational field of spacecraft that have stopped those schematizes. Spacecraft without a relative speed with respect to space is a balanced state of gravity. Back and forth as shown in the figure, left and right, is the state that the top and bottom of the spring is supported by the spacecraft with the same force. Right figure is the gravitational field of the spacecraft that the accelerated exercise those schematizes. It is a state in which the accelerated motion relative to space. In this state, the collapses gravity balance around the spaceship. I think that it has received the power to pull back behind this Einstein, but the mass of the rocket to accelerate was thought to increase. A result of the distortion of space is eccentric. We believe that receives a force from space. A spacecraft beyond the shock wave of this gravity you feel to be the same situation as the black hole. Mass instead of increasing, if the distortion of the space exceeds the limit increased. What's gone to the other side? Continuity of the space is cut. To get out from the expansion space. Expansion of began in outer space from the Big Bang might spread of 14 billion light-years. Will it be able to enter the area of the container of the universe beyond the distal end of the spread? When you fly 14 billion years at twice the speed of light speed as shown in the figure, you can keep up with the expansion of the universe. Really, what's there? What kind of spectacle? And what can continue to fly in a container in space at twice the speed of the light velocity? Time is to force the photons. I thought that there is no time, so there is no time in the rocket. And it is also believed to be past in an instant 14 billion years to say. However, also it will be gone as well because you stop substance field atomic motion of substance and there is no time. It is not other than to take the current idea of speed that exceeds the speed of light cannot be Ali. If you come this happens, the speed you have springs also question of wonder what the heck. Conclusion. In preparing the time is force. When the structure of the future universe has been clarified, we were considered to be wonder what obtained a description. Newtonian mechanics was the formula of the nature of the attraction. It is one that anyone can understand, if learned people. In addition, you can convince this phenomenon in real life. People that Einstein's theory of relativity can be understood to leave the formula. I think very few even now. I also do not understand, but piecemeal things. We obtained an understanding in which to proceed to write a page about the mystery of the gravitational effects in time. Since the era of Einstein, there is no concept of the expanding universe. You can imagine how the theory of relativity shown in these was matter, how innovative. Edwin Hubble. Later expansion. Cosmology, cosmic microwave background radiation. That the age of the universe is 13.8 billion years. Large-scale structure of the universe. Accelerated expansion of the universe. These have been confirmed by the development of precise observation equipment. While folding these observation results, something cause of the speed of light, the cause of gravity, the mass. Something time and is. I think that it has reached a certain opinion about the structure and the like of the universe, which is observed as an expansion. Time is Force began writing from 2008. Initially it had not found an outlet and will be fitted in the Planck time and large numbers hypotheses. In January 2010, by creating a universe view, you were solidified the image, speed of light. In this image I had thought that the expansion of space is visualized. In addition, is working acceleration and the expansion of the space by now derived. This acceleration is, I noticed, that the cause of gravity. These two ideas I have assembled. The expansion coordinate system cosmology is based. Grand unified theory that integrates from the universe to the world of elementary particles has been and is present. But it is not possible to describe why the speed of light and gravity occurs at present. Thus, space and material is present. I am the strain. This has become the force of gravity. That it does not have to be principal description, not expansion coordinate system cosmology to set a special role in elementary particle. We expect that it will become the standard universe model that described the cosmological principle. The current space science, there is a technical challenge, but there is no it by interstellar flight and space warp, such as the SF movie is realized. Tens of light years distant stars to explode. There a possibility to receive the Earth impact, but there is no way to avoid it. Cosmological principle has been born by the free interaction of space. This understanding of will release us from the labyrinth of knowledge.